my name is Lucas. I am the founder of Data Marketing School. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to track single page application with Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics 4. A single page application is a kind of website that loads all the content on the first page load, and then everything that happens after the first page load when you're navigating the interface. It's just a matter of displaying and removing components inside the single page application. It's a very fast website. The first page load is a bit longer, but then once everything is loaded, it's very fast and it's very good for the user experience. The first thing is to make sure that your website is a single page application. So the main technologies that are used to create SPAs are, for example, Next.js, Angular, Vue.js, React. These are the main technologies to create single page applications, at least from my perspective. If you're using one of these technologies on your website, or maybe it's a part of your website, it's important to understand how you can track it correctly so that you have all your traffic sources and your attribution correctly displayed on your GA4 property. Here I've created a new property which I called SPAs. I have my Google Tag Manager, which is injected in my single page application here. I took an Angular demo SPA, which is called Tour of Heroes. So I'm going to show you 3 different methods to track single page application with Google Tag Manager and GA4. So the first one is going to be using the automatic behavior of GA4 when you install it on your single page application. The second one is going to be with the history change trigger, which is a more customized manual way of doing it. The third one is going to be creating a dataLayer documentation that you're going to send to your developers, and they will integrate the dataLayer inside your single page application so that you can track your page views and all other events as well. So the first method with the GA4 automatic detection is going to be quite simple, but the thing is that you need to check if it's working correctly out of the box, which is most of the time not the case. I mean, any automatic behavior can't work on all websites. You can check if it's working correctly, but it can work correctly when you're previewing 1 page or 2 pages. But if you're looking at your overall traffic, it may have some issues sometimes. I'm going to show you what is the default behavior. So here I'm going to admin and then data stream. I'm opening my data stream and I'm copying my measurement ID. So I'm going to install this inside GTM. So I'm going to create a Google tag with my measurement ID. I'm opening the preview again to see what's happening. And here, if I navigate inside the interface, you can see here that in my data layer, I can see gtm.historyChange version 2. And here you have history and history change events. The history events are the data layer push that I showed you before with this version 2. So this means that is automatically triggered from GA4. And this event, gtm.historyChange version 2, triggers a data layer push page view, which triggers the G tag to send the page view to GA4. This should be called page view here. So I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's a bug from GTM, but this history change event that you see here, it's in fact a page view event. If I click on my G tag here, if I click on history change, you can see the page view hit that is sent to GA4. And here you have the page location, page referrer, and the page title. On my single page application here, the title is Tour of Heroes, and it is not changing when I'm navigating the interface. On your single page application, it is most likely that the page title will change. And it is something that you need to check as well if this default behavior does change the page title. And this default behavior, you can go back to admin, data stream, and click on your data stream. Under enhanced measurement, you can click on the gear here. And here under the page view, you can click on show advanced settings. And here you have a page changes based on browser history events. So this is this default behavior. And before going to the second method, you need to disable it. Let's click save and let's open the preview again. And here, when I'm changing the components, I mean the history inside the interface, it is not triggering any history change events. We are good to go for the second method. Here you need to install a new trigger, which is called history change. Let's navigate the interface. And here it triggers history events inside the data layer, and this one, it's without the version 2. And on this event, we're going to trigger a GA4 page view event. So what we are going to do here is to tell the G tag not to send the page view so that we can have the control over when the page view is sent. So here at the configuration parameter, send page view and put it to false. Let's copy the measurement ID. So you can also create a constant variable, and here create a GA4 event and name it page view. Let's trigger this one on history change. What we are going to do here is to override the page underscore location and the page underscore referrer. And here we're going to create data layer variables. But first, let's look at the data layer. Under my history change data layer event, I've got the gtm.old URL, which is my referrer, and the gtm.new URL, which is the current page. And here I'm going to create a new data layer variable, which is going to be gtm.new URL, DLV for data layer variable. Let's click save. So the new URL is for page location and the old one is going to be for page referrer. And here, let's name it GA4 event page view and click save. Let's open the preview again. And here you can see that on every history, there is a page view sent to GA4. And if you click on the G tag here, you can see that you have the history change events. And here you have the page location and page referrer, which are from the data layer variables here. Depending on your single page application, you may have a lot of history events here. And it is a drawback of this method because you cannot control when this history event is going to be triggered. Some single page applications do create a lot of history change events and you don't have control over it. And the other drawback of this method is that you cannot send the page title dynamically because you don't have the information here. We are not done with this method. On the first page load, you can see that there are no page view event that is sent to GA4. And this can cause problems in your attribution reports. To solve this, you need to create a new page view event. Let's call this first page. And here, instead of the history change, we're going to select all pages, for example, and remove these parameters, okay? Because on the first page load, a single page application is no different from any other kind of website. So you can use this one for the first page load, and for all other page view events, it's going to be the history change trigger. So let's open the preview again. And here you can see that a page view was sent on the container loaded, so the event after is going to be history change. If I navigate the interface, there are history change events as well. So, and all other page views. So now we are done configuring the page view with the second method, but we're going to also create another event just to show you how it works as well. Let's say you have also an add to cart event on your single page application. Let's assume that you have a data layer push add to cart. I mean, whatever the trigger is, it's going to be the same. The important thing is that on every event, besides the page view, you also need to add this page location and page referrer parameters, because if you don't do it, it will use the default behavior and it may not have the correct page location and page referrer. We have finished the second method and we can move on to the third one. So the third method involves creating a data layer documentation to send to your developers. And in this data layer documentation, you need to explain them that they need to trigger a page view event on every page view. So it's going to be the first page load and also all other page views based on history change events. And inside this documentation, you can also tell them to create other data layer events, such as add to cart, purchase, or whatever. But here we're going to focus only on the page view because it's what's more related to single page application tracking. One thing important here. So let's say, for example, that you are sending email campaigns and you are using UTM source equals, for example, summer sale. Someone just goes to your single page application like this. With the second method, it's working correctly. In the history change here, you have UTM source sent to GA4. If you are telling your developers to push the page view event, they need to integrate inside the virtual page location here all the information related to the URL. Because if they don't add the search parameters, for example, like this, you won't have the information about the UTM source, and you will have attribution issues in GA4. Under the page location and the page referrer, they need to add the complete URL. You need to tell your developers to send this page view event also on the first page load, so that we don't need to do this. I will assume in this tutorial that they send this dataLayer push event page view on the first page load and also on all other page views events. So let's remove this. We're going to change the trigger for this one. We're going to remove this one and then create a new trigger, which is going to be a dataLayer page view, dataLayer event page view, save. And then here we won't use this anymore. I'm just going to add the page title, and here you can use another variable. So here I'm going to create another one, which is going to be virtual page location. Okay, let's create another one for the referrer and then another one for the page title. Then we need to do the same here. For example, if you have a other event, you need also here to override them with your dataLayer parameters and then also add the page title. Let's open the preview. So I currently don't have the dataLayer implementation on my single page application, but I'm just going to simulate it by copying my code here and then paste it here. You can see a history change trigger, which sent a page view, and inside here I've got my parameters containing the UTM source. I can see the page view hit sent to GA4 with also the UTM source and the correct page referrer. Here, so I'm using these variables. The idea here is that the virtual page location needs to contain all of this information. I mean, your developers need to take the variables from the single page application to build this complete URL with the search params. So we are done for the third method.